Climate change is not just another crisis. The consequences of climate change can be seen in many different forms. The Cassandra Conference and Programme is a call to action inviting collaboration to empower local solutions, addressing 4 key socio-political aspects of what has, until now, been considered almost exclusively an environmental issue. Public health. Extreme weather events resulting from climate change heighten heat illnesses, destroy homes and livelihoods through flooding, spread infectious diseases, and worsen malnutrition due to crop failures. Migration. Environmental shifts due to climate change force people to migrate, often from economically fragile regions, seeking better living conditions. Gender equality. Climate change exacerbates existing gender disparities, particularly affecting women and girls in low-income and developing regions. Conflict. Climate change acts as a threat multiplier, exacerbating existing socio-economic inequalities and tensions, whilst also exponentially leading to conflict over natural resources. The Cassandra Conference and Programme stands apart by focusing on the interconnected socio-political impacts of climate change rather than solely its environmental effects, focusing on local community engagement as the key to transforming global ambitions into practical, relevant, and tangible solutions. It champions locally born activists as being essential to build trust and foster the social consensus needed for policy continuity, while positioning scientists and technologists as socio-political allies who provide expertise when invited. Additionally, it highlights the power of culture to evoke emotional connections that engage and mobilize society as a whole. As a result of conferences held in 2021 and 2023, Cassandra has established an action plan until the end of 2027. Local climate action starts with the empowerment of communities. By adopting local initiatives and collaborating with social activists, specific climate challenges are addressed through a grassroots approach, making solutions more inclusive and impactful. Through a network of science embassies who transform complex scientific data into accessible, practical solutions, fostering continuous collaboration between scientists, policymakers, and citizens. This ensures that research remains relevant and meaningful for the communities it serves. And then there's science cultural communication training. By harnessing the power of art and culture, intricate scientific concepts can be translated into messages that resonate on a personal and emotional level. This approach makes climate science accessible and inspires broader understanding and action. The progress of the programme will be demonstrated at the 3rd Cassandra Conference in 2026, where the results and future steps will be discussed and broadly disseminated. Cassandra advocates a unified socio-political response to climate change that blends scientific knowledge, cultural expression, and grassroots activism. It stresses the importance of inclusive, community-led actions that can serve as a catalyst for broader global initiatives. The aim is not just to predict and prevent crises, but to involve communities in creating sustainable solutions that address the root causes of climate issues.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this first Cassandra webinar. And what you will be doing, as you've seen from the video, what the basic purpose of Cassandra is and the basis objective of Cassandra is. What you will be doing now is that you will be hearing a number of speakers from local climate forums, both in the Near East and also in Africa. And we're going to start off with what for us is an extremely important country, an extremely important state, which is the state of Palestine. We were going to have 3 speakers, but unfortunately one of them has a cabinet meeting of the Palestine Authority and so can't be with us because they have an emergency meeting at this very moment. which is a reflection really of the situation which Palestine is suffering at the moment. So I will introduce first of all Gadir Arafeh from the Palestine Red Crescent to describe the situation which they are facing there and what they will be intending to do under Cassandra. So, Gadir, if you'd like to put your camera on and your microphone, and it's over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me first of all? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine, Gadir.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And first of all, it's really a great to be here today to share with you the journey of the disaster risk reduction and the climate change, which I oversee here at the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, the BRCS. The program is structured around several key pillars to ensure a comprehensive and inclusive approach to disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. And establishing, first of all, the first step, let's say, or first pillars is establishing the CBDRR committees, which means the community-based disaster risk reduction committees. We collaborated with communities to form and train these committees, which act as a first responders and key coordinator during crisis and disasters. Second, we conducted vulnerabilities and capacity assessments, which we call it EVCA, DRR studies. Through these studies, we identify the weaknesses and the strengths within communities to develop targeted interventions that address specific risks. The third pillars, we creating DRR points, which means the disaster risk reduction points. In partnership with municipalities and local councils, we establish and equip these DRR points with tools and resources and equipment to support the emergency preparedness and response before, during, and after disasters, whether these disasters are natural because of the climate change or even because of the human made, including those caused by the Israeli occupation, unfortunately. And the fourth pillar is implementing mitigation projects. To date, we have carried out 33 community-based mitigation projects, which include installing solar panels to ensure sustainable energy access to vulnerable areas, and constructing water systems, and installing drinking water tanks to address water scarcity, and building protective infrastructure such as retaining walls in disaster-prone areas. The achievement of the program so far, I can mention quickly. First of all, training and capacity building. We over 1,200 CBDRR team and BRCS volunteers have been trained in first aid and evacuation and disaster response techniques, ensuring that communities are equipped to response and to emergencies. Advocacy and awareness. We have produced 5 television episodes so far, bringing together decision maker and CBDRR committees to discuss local environmental challenges and disaster and solution together. Strengthen local coordination. DRR bonds have been established in collaboration with 33 local councils and municipalities, significantly improving their capacity to respond to crisis. We have for sure many of challenges under the Israeli occupation. For example, operating under the Israeli operation adds significant complexity to our work. Challenges includes restricted access to the vulnerable areas. So many areas facing demolitions or under siege are difficult to reach, delaying in critical interventions. Also, barriers to infrastructure development, such medications projects which has been implemented like water tanks and solar panels and etc. Often face restrictions, limiting our ability to enhance community resilience. And also, if the frequent security crisis and the escalation like military incursion and land confiscations and demolitions require constant readiness and immediate response, with which stretching our resource to their limits actually. And despite these challenges, our commitment to fostering collaboration with local and international partners has enabled us to ensure the sustainability of our program, the disaster risk reduction and the climate change program, and expand its impacts uh, to the as much as we can to the Palestinian communities. And for sure, the importance for sustaining the program and the continuation of this program is essential. The climate change accelerates the vulnerabilities caused by the occupation, and building community resilience through preparedness and mitigation efforts is not just necessary, it is urgent and a must. And in conclusion, I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity to share our achievement and the challenges for the disaster risk reduction and climate change program. So I think together we can continue empowering the Palestinian communities to overcome the dual challenge of the climate change and occupation, building a future that is safer for more resilient and more just for the Palestinian communities. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well, Gadia. We as Cassandra are very, very proud to be working with you, to be working with the Palestine Red Crescent, as well as our local climate forums. And we're delighted to have you here. And also, I want to thank you personally, because I know that you have to go early because you have difficulties in getting home. I do understand the situation there, and I look forward to seeing you there in Palestine in March. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Can I ask you to close your microphone and your camera? And thank you very much, Gadia. And I will now pass the word to our second Palestinian speaker, who is Anan Jayusi from the Palestinian Water Authority. Anan, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, Richard. My name is Anan Jayusi. I'm the director of the Water, Energy and Food Security Center at Al-Najah National University, also the chairholder of the UNESCO Chair on Water Resources Management. Just to strict to my time limit, our center, the sustainable is called sustainable, the Center for Sustainable Adaptation to Global Change in the Middle East. We established the center with four main goals: to contribute to knowledge, conduct multilateral and interdisciplinary research, be a regional resource for national and international bodies concerned with the global change, and promote transboundary and international cooperation in global change adaptation. I'm sure most of you know, in West Bank and Gaza, climate change is becoming more and more, or the impact of climate change is becoming more and more clear. We have higher temperature, rainfall distribution is changing continuously. We have less rainy days, higher intensities, and this is causing a reduction, for example, in the recharge to the groundwater aquifers. So based on this, we have established this our center, and thinking of again maybe the four main challenges that we are facing in Palestine. Again, just to be quick with time. First of all, we have lack of access to water resources, and climate change will only further strain this fragile sector. What we're doing as a state and as a center, we're helping the Palestinian Water Authority to bridge the water availability gap, basically through demand management and investing in non-conventional water supply, such as treated wastewater and brackish water desalination and rainwater harvesting. The second challenge, if I may say, is the poor water quality, which compounds the scarcity of water available for domestic consumption and the productive purposes. Again, maybe a third challenge is the food, or the availability, or the food, the lack of food security, if you want. According to the World Food Programme, 63% of Palestinians, around a little bit less than 2 million, were food insecure as of end of last year. Climate change will imperil the viability of the rainfall reliant agriculture systems. And in this regard, again, treated wastewater is being thought of as one of the management options. And the third is the energy sector, is characterized by totally unmet demand and heavy reliance on import. And in this regard, we are doing a lot of public awareness regarding renewable energy sources, particularly solar, that has the potential to play a significant role in addressing the power supply gap. I'm willing to talk more, but I know, Richard, maybe this is the time available. So thank you very much. And apology from Hadil. Again, you did mention that she's been selected as a member for the team to start working on rehabilitating the Gaza disaster, if you want. You're muted.
Yes, sorry, I am. Yeah, Hadil phoned me before, and she gave her apologies because she had this meeting, and I said to her, I think your meeting's more important than this webinar at the moment. So, but thank you very much, Anan. And once again, I would like to reiterate my thanks to you, to Hadil, and to Gadir, who are such close partners for us and such important partners for us in Palestine, which disgracefully is a country which is suffering so many of the problems which Cassandra was created to look at. So I'm delighted to have you with us. I'm delighted to have you in the Cassandra program, and I'm only sorry that you have to suffer so many problems at this time. And I can only wish that things will get better quickly and effectively in the future. Let's go now to a different country. We have a number of pilot sites in a number of different African countries. And the first speaker from Africa now will be from the Democratic Republic of Congo, as opposed to the Republic of Congo. So that's DRC. And the speaker is Denise Kayalwai, and I do hope I've pronounced that correctly, from Naturel CD. Denise, if you can put your camera on and your microphone. Hi, can see you, and if you can put your microphone on. Okay, over to you, Denise.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Denise Kavira Kalwahi. I'm from DRC. I'm the director of Natural CD, is an online media and an organization. So in the DRC, we have a rich natural resource and home to world. We have a large forest. DRC is on the front line of the global climate crisis. The effects of the climate change are deployed effects in the Central Africa, but where rising temperature upwards, rainfall and stress. Whatever events are working on ecosystem and community. Beyond environmental damage, the impact of climate change are actually visible in the nation. We have, for example, the health landscape, where the vulnerability population face from disease, malnutrition, and inadequate health care infrastructure. And so the tropical climate on DRC has long supported the Congo Basin rainforests. However, the rapid progress of the climate change is destabilizing this delicate system. The deforestation in the DRC contributes significantly to greenhouse and gas emission accessibility warning. The destruction of the rainforests also leave local community vulnerability to the climate. The health impacts of climate change in DRC are profound and multiplicated, rising temperature and rainfall, creating the perfect disaster, food insecurity, and the water scarcity. We have another problem of the migration. The climate change and the migration in the DRC in the southern region, particularly in the North Kivu and Ituri, there are many people who gave migration because of the climate change. In Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, and Goma, there are many problems of water because the migration of people is often greater than vulnerability driven by the loss of lands, the cleaning water resource, and the destruction of home and infrastructure.
So Denise, thank you.
Conflicts, yes.
Yes, Denise, I was just going to say thank you so much for describing the situation in the Congo. Also, and I would just like to make this public, Denise is a French speaker from the Congo. And as a result of that, I think it's very important to thank her for making the effort, for speaking this and saying this in English. During the question section, if there are questions that are addressed to you about the Congo, about the DRC, we will translate them from French to English and vice versa, because I have with me a Tunisian, Doa Zamel, who's part of the Cassandra team, and she will translate for you. But I just want to say how much we appreciate, first of all, that we have you working for us in the Congo. What you're doing in the Congo is exceptionally important. But also, thank you very much for making the effort of speaking English today. So thank you. Merci bien.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Denise. If you can close your camera and your microphone, and we will now go to Kenya. And I will be introducing, first of all, two people who I work very closely with when I was working at the United Nations Environment Programme in Nairobi. And it's a pleasure, as always, to be able to speak not only as a colleague, but as a close friend of Brandon Okoth and Anam Salyani. So if you two want to put, both of you want to put on your screens and your microphones. And first of all, Brandon, if you'd like to introduce yourself and introduce what you're doing in the area of Kibera, which is the largest ghetto in Africa, in Nairobi. Brandon, welcome. It's great to see you again. And over to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. My name is Brandon Francis Okoth, and I'm the founder of the Watoto program, which does free education for children by providing them with a safe and child-friendly environment for them just to come and do studies. So myself, I was born and raised in Kibera, and growing up, we were faced with a lot of challenge. As Richard has mentioned, Kibera is the largest slum, or urban slum in Africa. And the poverty level is quite high, and you find that residents survive on only $1 a day. And most families go without food, and schools are chaotic because you find that they're overwhelmed, whereby you find in a classroom, you can get more than 130 students in just one classroom being run by one teacher. So to try and tackle this, I started what I called the Watoto Library, whereby I provided the children just a space every evening. They could come in, do their assignments for free, and they're treated with respect in a way of bringing in the community to also support the children of to support the children of our community. And as we continue doing this, we started introducing the children to matters to do with our environment, because there's a river called the Nairobi River that passes through our community, and it has been overpopulated with a lot of plastics, metals, sewage, and it is in a very bad state. And you find that the new generation, as they come in, they don't even realize that that's a river, because it has been overwhelmed to an extent that it feels like an island whereby people can just cross walking. And the water that's used to supply the community with clean drinking water has been contaminated and has changed color to be sewage color. So together with supporting the children at the library, the parents saw the need, and we started also to involve the youth and the women. And we formed what we call the Kibera Local Water Forum, whereby we invited members of the community, volunteers, just the community volunteers who were even previously helping to keep the environment clean. And we decided to form a forum whereby we decided to do weekly river cleanup activity, whereby we remove all the plastic from the river. And all this doing it, we involve the children, trying to bring them to understand what is happening, to bring the knowledge of environment to them. Slowly by slowly, we have grown. We have been able to grow to support, to have a sponsorship school that supports some of the most neediest children of our community, children who would stop school, going to school by the age of 13. You find that there's a big gap with education, and that children don't have access to quality education. And we've come to realize that there's a lot of social education that needs to happen so that our community can fully change. So what we are doing is we're involving all the youth, the women, and the children, and we're bringing the attention to matters to do with environment, whereby we introduce them to things like climate change, and trying to help them understand what is climate change, what is climate justice, how can we best have waste management. The group not only does river cleanup, it also goes to door, whereby we collect garbage, and we sort and recycle the plastics and the waste. We make sure that they're disposed properly. All in the sense that we're also trying to create this to amplify the circular economy, so that also the members who are participating, because they are volunteers, they can also get something from participating in cleaning our environment, in cleaning the river, in collecting the garbage, whereby we have the children educated. We educate our children. We ensure that also they receive the quality education that they can be able to also open doors for themselves, because it has been a big challenge with the current education system that we have. We find that students go to school, they go zero, they come out zero. And just the public school being overwhelmed, and Kibera being a large population, things are not changing. Growing up, seeing these things happening, just yeah, so we decided to just be the change and just to see the transformation once and for all at this level. So that's who I am, and yes, thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Brandon, and it's great to hear from you again, and it's great to see you again. And I look forward to seeing you in Nairobi on the week of the 10th. So I'll be really looking forward to seeing how things are going there in Kibera. Okay, we stay in Nairobi, and we now go to Frederick Okinda from Coombe Green Solutions, who works in another district of Nairobi, which is Korogosho. So, Frederick, if you can put on your camera and your mic. Hi, it's great to see you again. How are you? How are you? Are you well? Is that Frederick or is that Christopher?
Christopher,
Okay.
that's Christopher. How are you doing, Richard?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, no, I was thinking, hang on, Frederick's changed. Hi, Chris. How are you? So, Chris, over to
I'm
you.
given, please kindly please accept my deepest apology for being late. Richard, I've been working so busy writing reports on our current activities. So I
Chris,
don't know if maybe my apologies have been accepted.
Chris, you and I are friends. We know that I always arrive late at meetings, so I cannot blame you for arriving late. Don't worry. That's no problem
I appreciate
whatsoever.
it.
Over
I
to you.
appreciate that.
Tell us a little bit about the situation in Korogocho and about what you're doing in Korogocho.
Okay, thank you, Richard, for this beautiful opportunity to express myself. And I sincerely apologize once again. So the situation currently in Complete Solutions, what we are currently doing for now is working towards getting the riverine communities together, towards setting up to having a healthy riparian ecosystem along the riverine communities. And what we are currently doing for now is we are having an artificial tree nursery, which is being currently run by the trained Comgreen members, especially for those who are school dropouts and also those who are jailed out. Definitely, we have been able to pot like 7,650 tree seedlings. Most of them are medicinal, fruit trees, and flowers. What we are also doing is to make sure we are coordinating through the Climate Works project, which is ongoing progress through the initiative from the government. We are working to make sure that the zone 5, because there was this zoning and complete solution in zone 5, that we are able to work strictly on ground, make sure that from Outer Ring Road to the dam, to the Dandora waterfall, approximately 13.7 kilometers, the riverine communities, they are doing what is supposed to be done on the riparian. So our work is to make sure we help the how they call the supervisors from the government to at least to make sure they use they're cooperating on ground. And also what we are currently doing on ground is to make sure also our hydroponic system is running, because we find that we have 900, we have 3 tables, each consists of 300 holes, which make it 900. And we are now working towards to have like aquaponics, because we find that hydroponics, we are farming without soil, and we have to buy the nutrients, which they are so very, very expensive. So we are now going to the aquaponics, which now will have the fish pond water, because the fish pool have the same nutrients with the macro and the micro B. We have been able also to construct a new fish pond to start the aquaponics along the riverine communities. And apart from that, we have been able to sensitize community through mural paints, whereby now they can understand the importance of having clean and healthy environment along our communities, and also know the importance of each and every waste is money, the Taka ni Mali project. We find that we are starting from household, because a lot of waste which end up into the river, they are the people who are living along the river. And if the message is well spread that the waste is money, they are going to cooperate and also to benefit from it. Yeah. I don't know if maybe there's any question from me. or maybe if Frederick had talked about our history, where we came from, because I was late. Thank you, Richard.
No, that's great, Chris. Thank you very, very much. So what we'll do now is that after we've heard all the different local climate forums, then the people, the audience can write questions, and we can be asking you questions and you answering them. Okay? So just just hang on there. All right. And again, I look forward to seeing you as well when I'm in Nairobi at the beginning of February. Okay. But
You're most welcome.
Yeah, in the meantime, you take good care of yourself.
Okay, same to you, Richard.
All right. Okay. So stay online in case there are questions for you. There should be. Okay. All right. So if you can close your camera, and now we'll go to the third of our local climate forums in Kenya. And this is in northern Kenya. And this is an organization that is called Move Northern Kenya. And it's led and is represented here today by Riptoya Elema and Susa Nyamunga. So Riptoya and Susan, if you want to put on your cameras and your microphones, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Richard. I don't know if everyone can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. We can hear you fine.
My name is Riptoya Elema, and I'm the team lead of Move Northern Kenya, where we are hosting the local climate forums. I'm sorry if we'll have some background noise, but I hope everyone will be able to hear me and listen in. So, Northern Kenya, as we all know, faces challenging situations due to climate change, and climate change has really led to issues like food insecurity, conflicts, and gender inequalities to be exacerbated. And with the recent droughts and floods that we had throughout the previous years, we have seen that most of the people in northern Kenya have faced extreme malnutrition problems, from the women to the children and the men. But this issue has really affected the girls who are in schools. And due to the lack of resources like water, most of the communities have had to migrate from one location to another in search of pasture, which leads to conflicts between the communities that practice agriculture, which is the Burji community, and the communities that practice pastoralism in northern Kenya. And most of the pastoralists have also moved to a region called Meru and Isiolo, leading to more conflicts within the region. And this is something that has led to lots of loss of lives. And during the article, we had written about the Turbi massacre, which happened like years back, where so many students were killed, so many women were killed. And this was a very big issue at that time. So today we are also having the same issue, because the Rendiles are fighting the Boranas are fighting the Gabra are fighting the Rendiles. So it's just a whole circle of conflicts that's unending, and it's bringing a lot of disaster to northern Kenya. And who are suffering? It's the women. The women have been suffering year in, year out, especially with the fact that they have to do the house chores, they have to cater for their family. And when you look at the work that's done in the society, it's mostly the women who do the work. I'm not against the men, but I remember hosting an event just the other week, a local climate forum. And when I touched on water management, there was really a lot of issue, because the women were saying they're not involved in the decision-making processes on how to manage their water. So these are some of the issues that the women face, and I would like my colleague Susan Mora to expound on the solutions that we as the local climate forums in northern Kenya are doing. And I will also come back and talk to you about the challenges that we have been facing for the past almost 1 year. Thank you so much, Richard, for this opportunity, and I thank everyone who organized this event. To you, Susan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Riptea Elema, for your contribution, and thank you all the organizers for the event. My name is Susan Nyamunga. I'm the programs manager of Move Northern Kenya. So I would like to expound more on some of the solutions that we've had as Move Northern Kenya. So through the local climate forums, we envision a transformed, sustainable and resilient Northern Kenya under the banner of Tujikimu, which means self-reliance. So Move Northern Kenya is implementing various initiatives to address the climate change and promote development. We have trained the communities on integrated water resource management so that they are assured of water throughout the drought season as well as the dry season. And we've done projects with them around sustainable agricultural practices to enhance food security in the region. On that, we've done tree planting sessions in schools with the kids, and also fruit trees planting with the kids to supplement their nutrition. And we've encouraged the pastoralists in that region to diversify their livelihoods because they're affected by cattle raiding, such as the Turbi massacre, that led to the loss of lives and exacerbated insecurity, forcing the women to stay at home and worsen the prevalence of gender equality. So through the local climate forums, we also focus on empowering women and girls and ensure that they're put in the decision-making tables, and also encouraging them to participate in the political leadership, as well as involving the men in such decisions. Thank you so much, Victoria. You can proceed.
So thank you
So,
very much to both of you. Thank you very much to both of you. And we'll be giving you time to answer questions from the audience, okay, during the second part of this session. But
Richard,
thanks very much for the
has our
description.
5
Yeah,
minutes
Victoria.
ended?
Oh, I'm
Has our
sorry.
5
Yeah.
minutes ended?
Yeah, the
For
5
real?
minutes. The 5 minutes has
No,
ended. But have you
I thought I
have you
was fast.
have you seen how subtle I was, just appearing on the screen like that? Time flies when you're enjoying yourself, Riptoya. That's what
Oh,
happens.
wow.
But let me just
Thank you
say,
so much.
let me just say that we are really, really pleased to have you. Riptoya and Susan are great representatives of the whole of the region of northern Kenya. They're working very hard. The work that they're doing is incredibly important for us, but more importantly, it's incredibly important for their local communities up there. And again, I look forward to seeing you guys as well in February. So if I can ask you to close your cameras now, and we will go on to Nigeria, and we have with us, first of all, Adenike Akisemoli, and I'm Samolo, sorry, Adenike. I'm so used to pronouncing your first name, but not your surname. She's from the Green Institute in Nigeria, and she'll be explaining the situation in Nigeria and with regards to the issues that we deal with in Cassandra, which I'll remind everybody are the consequences of climate change with relation to health, migration, gender equality, and conflict. So, Adenike, if you're there online, if you can put your camera on and your microphone, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. My name is Adenike Hekunsemolu, and I'm the director of the Green Institute in Nigeria, an organization committed to advancing environmental sustainability, education, and community empowerment. And today I'm just going to be sharing with you the impactful work we're doing, particularly in coastal regions of Nigeria. There's a community we're working at right now. The name of the community is called Ayetoro, and the meaning of the community name, it means the happy city. Which is quite ironic because Ayetoro was once a thriving coastal community, but today it faces immense challenges due to rising sea levels and the impacts of climate change. So at the Green Institute, we recognize that tackling these issues requires an interdisciplinary approach that integrates science, community engagement, and innovation. And it's very important to mention that women and children, they are the most affected. They are disproportionately affected, and they are at the hearts of our efforts. So one of the has been promoting the field of using microbes to mitigate the effects of climate change. And just like like a microbe, much like this, women are often invisible but yet indispensable. So through microbial innovation, we're remediating oil contaminated soils, purifying water, and restoring ecosystems. So these solutions don't just mitigate environmental damage, but they provide sustainable and transformative pathways for rebuilding the livelihood in the community. And in addition to the microbiology, we're also collaborating with the biological and environmental science department at the University of Stirling in Scotland to explore the use of Earth observatory technologies for monitoring water quality. So using satellite images in coastal regions like Aieto, and these technologies will enable us to track enable us to track changes in water composition. It will enable us to identify contamination sources and implement timely interventions. And this partnership is a very significant step towards using advanced science to support vulnerable communities and to improve their access to clean and safe water. And beyond the science, the Green Institute is also working to preserve the cultural and the architectural heritage of Aieto. So the community's vernacular architecture that is known for its ecological harmony has been significantly impacted by flooding and erosion, which has caused a lot of people to migrate. And so what we're doing is we're collaborating with local artisans and architects to see how we can rebuild the structure using sustainable materials and techniques that honor their traditional heritage while adapting it to modern climate realities. And it's not just about rebuilding the homes, obviously, it's about teamwork and it's about restoring the identity and hope of the people. We also use storytelling and arts. We use them. We believe that storytelling and art are essential tools in our work. So, partnering with the youth of Aieto, we've documented oral histories and environmental changes in the community. Some of the stories have been exhibited globally. Recently, we just had an exhibition. I think just last week Friday at the Berlin Brandenburg Academy of Sciences in Germany, and we also had another exhibition last year November with the Berlin University Alliance. And the purpose of this exhibition is to amplify the voices of Aietos people, provide them a platform, and ensuring that their struggles and resilience are seen and heard on a global scale. And of course, we have our challenges. It's not without its challenges. First of all, education and just getting the community to accept some of the technologies that we're bringing in or some of the ideas that we're bringing is one of the challenges. And also, funding is a persistent obstacle. There are a lot of bureaucratic delays that in the implementation of some of our program and systemic barriers often also exclude women from decision-making processes. But we're committed to overcoming these hurdles because the stakes are too high to ignore. So, and despite these challenges, some of the things that we're doing at the Institute is to continue to drive meaningful change. So we have women cooperatives that are planting mangroves that act as natural buffers and carbon sink. We have community dialogues that are fostering sustainable practices in fishing and farming. And such partnership like the one with Cassandra, we're bringing collaborative. We're using a collaborative way to address this kind of issue. And in closing, I would like to emphasize that this work is not just about the Green Institute or it's just about me, it's about all of us. And we believe that the power of collective action and the belief that local communities hold the solutions to global problems. So at the Green Institute, we want to amplify these solutions, connect communities to resources, and champion their knowledge for resilience. So thank you for listening, and I invite you to join us in supporting these solutions and amplifying those voices. And together, I hope that we can transform local action into global impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adenike. And as you know, we're really pleased that the Green Institute and you yourself, you're involved with Cassandra, that you're one of the supporting partners. And we're delighted to be able to work with you and also learn so much from your experience in Nigeria. I ask you to close your camera now and ask Ezerim to come on. Ezerim Kennedy is a social activist of great experience also in Nigeria. Ezerim, if you can put your camera on and your microphone on, and then I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Richard, and everyone. I am Ezerim Kennedy. Thank you for the introduction, Richard. I am glad to be in your midst and the midst of fellow great minds today. Yes, I am the chairman of the Yagaze Foundation. Today, I want to bring to us about the Ugiri local community. which is a community in the eastern part of Nigeria. They are faced with so many challenges related to climate change, environmental degradation, and poverty. You see, these issues are interconnected, and they manifest in various ways that are deeply affecting the lives, and livelihood of the villagers. You see, and then starting from the climate change impact, what are the climate change experiences they are having? Erratic rainfall, with a prolonged dry season, so it's difficult for them because occasional flooding disturbs their agricultural activities, which they are mainly farmers and they are involved in different agricultural practices because their primary source of livelihood is farming, like I said. And what do they produce? Things like palm oil, yams, cassava, cocoyam, and the likes. So when we talk about environmental degradation, one of the challenges they are facing in the Ugiri community, you see, unregulated deforestation, soil erosion, and poor waste management practices. It has affected the natural resources in that part of Nigeria, diminishing the resilience of the people living in that community, which is related to climate, as you can see. So the third experience or challenges faced by the people living in Ugiri community is access to clean water and sanitation. Like limited access, they have limited access, which is scarcity of clean water and inadequate sanitation facilities, which has worsened the health situation, especially women and children who are the most vulnerable, you see. So, which has caused to the increment of migration, especially the youth migration, because the frustrated youth in the area has a limited opportunity, so which caused many of them to migrate to urban centers or other part of the country, leading to loss of human capital, essential development, which will help for their communal development. You see, so having named all the challenges faced in the Ugiri community, we have been working in recent times to see how we can profile a lasting solution connecting to the Sustainable Development Goals. Having made mention of all the indicators in the area, we have some plans to have an active deliverable in the long run. Now, addressing these things is going to help with a combination of community-led and sustainable initiative that we have designed to create a lasting impact. One of them is, I'm going to take them one after the other, climate resilient agriculture, which is going to be to introduce a smart farming techniques, such as crop deforestation, diversification, agroforestry, and improved irrigation system to enhance food security against extreme weather conditions. Remember the climate change. Another is environmental reforestation, which is to collaborate with local leaders in the area, like the traditional rulers, the community leaders, and volunteers to help implement reforestation programs and plans, which is to help combat soil erosion because it's so common in that area, and promote waste management, and that waste management will help to safeguard the Ugiri community. Another is having access to clean water and sanitation, which is WASH. You see, it's something that we are a group of researchers that came up with because establishing holes and other rainwater harvesting systems and community-led sanitation projects that is ongoing in the community will help improve clean water and hygiene practices, which will directly enhance the health and wellness as well as their productivity. And then education and advocacy is something that we are doing online, physically, conducting one-on-one sessions, workshops, and awareness campaigns to enlighten and educate the community members towards making them understand the importance of environmental stewardship that affects climate change and for the sustainable development in Ugiri. So finally, the last one we're planning to do is to engage the youth, trying to make them not leave their area, because the youth migration has really affected Ugiri in recent times. So creating opportunities for the young ones to participate in leadership programs, skill development, and community-driven initiatives, which we believe will help tackle the problem of migration and enhance local talent. So we aim to build community resilience in Ugiri that will drive harmony in their environment. So our approach, like I listed above, with the collaboration with local stakeholders and traditional rulers, will ensure the solution are culturally relevant, sustainable, and inclusive. Thank you very much for your audience and your cooperation.
Thank you very much, Ezerim. Thank you to all the speakers so far who have spoken for explaining so clearly and so well the actions which you're undertaking, which comply directly with the ambitions of Cassandra, the Cassandra Conference, and the Cassandra Programme. I've had a question from Diana Iskreva, which is basically for Cassandra Organization, but I want to read it out now and answer it. Diana asks, it's really impressive how much work was done by the activists who already presented. Is there an opportunity for new activities to be supported by Cassandra, and in which countries in addition to the geographical area already covered by the program? The answer, Diana, and Diana is the president of the Women for Water organization. The answer to your question is that yes, the idea is that during this year of 2025, in the second half of this year, we will be creating 300 more local climate forums in Africa and the MENA region. Then at the beginning of 2026, we will start working as well in India and Southeast Asia, and then also Central and South America. So it is a global project, because what we are doing is that we're trying to demonstrate to supranational institutions and also to scientific institutions that the local activists and the local environment groups and those people who are facing the challenges on the ground already exist, and they are organized. And that's the purpose of Cassandra, is to demonstrate the work of these local community actions as a means of really fulfilling supranational ambitions. So Ezerim, thank you very much for that. You can close your camera now and your microphone, and we will now go to Somalia. We have recently started work with our Somalian colleagues from GSI. I believe that we've got Mustafa Abdi with us. Mustafa, if you can put on your camera and your microphone. Mustafa, if you're there. Hi, Mustafa. Okay, great to have you with us. Great to have you with us. So over to you to explain to us what you're doing as GSI within the Cassandra Local Forum program in Somalia.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. Hi everyone, my name is Mustafa Abdi. I'm Executive Director of Green Somalia Initiative, GSI. And Somalia is like many nations, we are facing significant of climate change issues in our country, but it's been vulnerable, extremely weather, flood, drought out. This climate hazard have impact of our communities, effective, healthy food security, and social stability. During flood, we have seen out of break like water disease issues like diarrhea, malaria, drought issues, others hand leading famine, and these are more like events just effective like health. There are extremely existing challenges such as a tribe conflicts of weak institution service deliveries. Most vulnerable our communities apparently this is climate impacts. In fact, women, people with disability, elders, the poor of disproportionately affected by insisted during water shortage, increasing like our rivers water cause several health issues vertical among of these groups. We have observed that climate change affected differently groups like, while our youth shows that resilience, our elders population is more susceptible of the environmental change. This displayed highly the need for targeted intervention and support Mostly like in responding these challenges is our community, we have developed various coping mechanisms. Like traditionally, we rely traveling to inform that using the radio for updating, however, increasing like in incredibility of the climate events has made these methods of less effective. Currently, we are working on improving environmental issues. Like, however, important of climate change forum conclusions, this is where by Cassandra Programme Climate Forum become crucially of the platform, allow us to share experience learning, others like collaborating on solutions through to this forum as we can like exchanging knowledge, best practice of the climate adaptation, developing more rapid earlier warning systems, like creating network for mutual support like during climate crisis, advocate for increasing like attention's resource of climate vulnerable communities like in conclusions, while Somalia is facing significant climate related change, like we are active working for building resilience. This Cassandra program, this climate forum provide us valuable opportunities for us to enhance our adaptations capacity contribution in the global action. Thank you for your thank you attention. I'm looking forward to discussion the collaboration effective that will emergency of this forum. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mustafa, and I am very much looking forward to you inviting me to a coffee finally in February. Okay, because every time that this is the first time, everybody, I want to make this public. This is the first time I have ever seen Mustafa without coffee in his hand. It must be killing him to make the effort to do that. Okay,
I will invite
thanks.
you.
You certainly will. Thank you very much, Mustafa. And thank you very much for being with us and for being part of the Cassandra program. One of the things that we've tried to do from the very beginning is to work in some of the most difficult countries in the world, such as Somalia, such as Sudan, such as Nigeria, etc. So we really appreciate all of the effort, because what we want to show, what we want to demonstrate are the results of the work, not of us, but of these people who are working and living on the ground in these countries that face these social political consequences of climate change. So let us now go to South Africa, and we should have with us Jackie Goldin from the University of the Western Cape, who is a fantastic person. And one day I will make her publicly as well explain the story of her fascinating aunt, but that's for another time. Today, she's here to describe the work that they are doing with regards to Diamonds and the Soles on Their Feet, the DSF, which is also now part of the Cassandra Programme and Conference. Over to you, Jackie.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so I'm going to start here. First of all, I'm an anthropologist, and I'm based, as Richard said, at the University of the Western Cape. So only 25% of African girls and boys take up maths or science. 68% of African boys and girls in grade 8 fail to reach the very low standards of the international benchmark. So maths is a crucial skill that allows humans to understand the environment and to obtain accurate accounts of physical phenomena. So what has STEM and science, maths, and technology, as you all know, is STEM. What has this got to do with an LCF, with the Local Climate Forum? Well, it has everything to do with the LCF. First, let's consider climate. Well, first of all, since 1990, the national average temperature in South Africa has increased almost twice as fast as the global temperatures. So we have a really extreme floods, droughts, high temperatures, low temperatures. In addition, the place where we're working in the Limpopo is one of the poorest provinces in South Africa, and that is why we are anchoring our local climate forum there. It is also one of the hottest provinces in South Africa. So what happens when there really is a lot of heat and a lot of floods or irregular rainfall patterns, farmers use far too much pesticide, they use more fertilizer, they use more chemical pollution, and our groundwater and surface water becomes even more polluted. So we see this LCF as an opportunity to nurture a passion for science, to catalyze this kind of transformational changes. Many students or learners don't want science because they think it's too difficult. But it's also the way it's taught that makes it seem so difficult. So when you bring a project like Diamonds on the Soles of Their Feet or this local climate forum, you can kindle this love for science, a curiosity and a passion for science. So we're building on a model which we call the learning with the heart. And it's a model that really goes across cultural boundaries, promoting a culture of care, being careful with two L's at the L of the full, being careful for water, for each other, having an ethics of care for ourselves and the natural environment. So first of all, we're looking at the data aspect. So collecting data in remote areas is really important because the national authorities can't get to these very remote areas. So we're collecting nitrates, phosphates, turbidity, E. coli, coliform in water bodies near schools. We're working with 400 children in 7 schools. But this is just one side of it. So the data is important. It's not just about data. The data is an entry point for young learners to develop this joy, this curiosity, and this passion, something that is so often absent in the classroom. And I really am looking forward to talking to some of the other local climate forums, because I see you also working with education, with the idea of bringing that kind of joy and that passion into the classroom. So this pedagogy with a heartbeat emphasizes the role of art, the role of emotions as being transformative, and sparks this kind of curiosity so that you can solve problems. You really can adapt to what the real problems out there. And also, so it's the data, but it's also poetry, it's art, it's storytelling, and really different ways of engaging with nature and with science. So we're engaging with the LCF in a holistic way. The children miss school because the rivers are flooded. They can't cross them in safety. Also, you can't respond to climate crisis if your child is being abused. We don't have the same problems that you have in Somalia or even in Nigeria, the problems that Denise has been talking about displacement. But really, South Africa, I think, is one of the most violent countries, definitely in Africa, probably in the world, where babies are being raped. There's every 3 minutes a woman is being raped. There's a huge drug, alcohol problem. So you can't solve climate problems without relating to these really very important life problems. You've got to see it holistically. So our partner, Richard, laughed when I said we've got the police forum on board, but the police forum are fantastic because they tackle drugs and alcohol and this toxic mix of gender-based violence and abuse. Very unlikely partners for a local climate forum. Other unlikely partners are the snake park. Snakes are, we've got the cobra, the puff adder, and the black mamba, 3 of the most poisonous snakes in Africa. And the children are terrified of the snakes, and they kill them if they can. People kill them, but they don't understand. They can't identify which is a poisonous, which isn't a poisonous snake. So snakes is really an important part of our local climate forum. So let me just go on then. Basically, our comparative advantage is that we're building on something we've already got, which is the citizen science project of Diamonds on the Soles of Our Feet. And we're using this space to nurture the passion for science. Also, we are the babies on the block. I think we've just come on board as an LCF. So that's really great because then we can learn from others and we've got a lot to learn. Our goal is to promote STEM then through this LSF to improve access to water. Many of the people we're working with in the villages, they sometimes don't have water for 3 or 4 days. Hi, Richard, I see you there. You're subtle. I'm coming to the end. We want to strengthen our social networks to build resilience and response ability, the ability to respond, and to promote an ethics of care for the environment and people. And I'm just really so proud to be part of this. And I hope to bring the rest of our team so you can meet them also, Richard. And thank you, everyone. It's really, really an honor to be here. Thank you.
The honor is ours, Jackie. And we're delighted to have you with us. We're delighted to have DSF with us. And, you know, South Africa is a country, as you said, that has a lot of social political problems, and that those are going to be heavily influenced in the future by climate change. And the work that you're doing and the work that the local communities are doing under DSF are incredibly important. So congratulations to you, and thank you for forming part of this Cassandra program and conference. Okay, we will now go to the Sudan. The Sudan is a country where I personally have a lot of ties. I spent 2 years of my young life there when I was doing my doctorate in politics. I worked there in a refugee camp for nearly 18 months, and then I was 6 months in Nile province, which is actually where one of the speakers is from. The Sudan has always been blighted by severe environmental problems, but also by severe political problems, such as now. Sudan is perhaps the greatest, most forgotten conflict in the modern world. We have at least 12.5 million people who have been actively displaced as we talk at the moment. Literally hundreds and thousands of people are dying in the Sudan, and yet it's a conflict that hardly draws any attention from the Western press. So therefore, we are especially delighted as well that we have people who are prepared to create local climate forums in this vitally important country, a country which has so much to offer and yet is unable to show what it has to offer for political and climatic regions. So I would like to introduce Abu Talib Sid Ahmed from the local climate forum in Dongola, and also Ala Al-Maki. So Ala and Abu Talib, if you can put on your cameras and your microphones.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Hello, Ala.
Yes.
Hello, Abu
Hi,
Talib. It's
Richard.
really,
Hi,
it's
everyone.
great
Can you
to
hear
have
me,
you
guys?
here. It's great to have you here with us, and thank you for joining us. And I pass the word to you.
Okay, I will start. Hi everyone, my name is Abu Talib Sid Ahmed. I am water resource engineer and one of the participants in COP29. And today we want to bring your attention to the work being done in Sudan and the Cassandra Local Climate Forum. Our particular forum, led by Sudanese youth, is dedicated to addressing the profound challenge posed by climate change, floods, and environment problem. Sudan is currently facing devastating impacts resulting from climate change, as Sudan increase in rainfall causes intensive floods in area of Dongola in the northern state. It led to a major disruption and failure of agricultural crops, as the regional economy in the northern state of Sudan depends primarily on agriculture, as farmers mostly focus on growing beans, wheat, and palm trees. So actually, the two main current challenge are number one is heavy rains this year drowned palm trees, causing overall productivity to decrease by 70% because they are crops require drier weather. The second one is short durations of winter this year causes the failure of beans and wheat cultivations, causing a decrease in overall productivity by 90% because they are crops that only thrive in cold weather. So my colleague will proceed the solution suggested.
Okay, hi guys, can you hear me all?
Yes, we can hear you fine, Abu Alad.
Okay, I will proceed from here. Thank you, Abu Talib. As Abu Talib presented the climate change effects, especially or specifically on Dongola, we tried to move forward and come up with some solutions for this issue. So the actions we're intending to take are coming as follows. In Dongola, farmers are on the front lines of this crisis, yet many of them are unaware of how shifting climate patterns affect their crops. So by providing them with the right knowledge and training, we will empower them to make more informed decisions and to be more able to anticipate future challenges and adopt sustainable farming methods. Secondly, we need to encourage crop diversification.
Local farmers over here rely on only few types of crops such as beans, wheat, and palms, and thus makes farmers more vulnerable to climate variability. So instead, introducing a variety of climate-resilient crops can help spirit the risk and ensure more stable yields, even in unpredictable weather conditions. Thirdly, we must promote climate-resilient agricultural practices. This includes shifting to crop varieties better suited to changing temperature, adjusting planting schedules, and improving water management techniques to handle fluctuating rainfall patterns. If we are to safeguard the future of agriculture, we must equip our farmers with the tools and strategies needed to adapt. A shift toward flexible, diversified, and climate-smart framing methods will not only help address current challenges, but also ensure long-term sustainability. These for the solutions our Climate Local Forum come up with. And if we have more times, I would love to speak a little bit about the forum itself. So Richard, do we have more time in the 5 minutes?
I can give you a couple more minutes, Ala.
Okay. So basically, we are running the Climate Local Forum from different cities here in Sudan in the safe areas. Currently in Atbara, Abu Talib in Dungula, and some of our colleagues, Muhammad and Ma'ab, they are outside of Sudan. So it was a little bit hard for us to organize all the work. Yet we came up with some draft for the solution, and we stepped forward by contacting some teachers and professors at Dungula University in order to organize workshops for the local farmers over here in Dungula. And with the right fund, we will proceed furthermore in these actions. Thank you, Richard, for this opportunity, and thank you for Cassandra initiative. That's all.
Thank you very much, Ala. Thank you very much as well, Abu Talib. It's not just because I did live there when I was a lot younger, but the situation in Sudan is also partly the result of the fact that it is a country that could give so much to Africa and the rest of the world, both in terms of supply of food and also in terms of energy, that it is seen very often as a threat. It is seen very often as a threat to Western countries, and that is one of the reasons why these people have never been allowed to live in peace. I can only hope that movements such as those which are being undertaken by our local climate forums can serve as an example, so that local communities in the Sudan can begin to really create a better future for them. But the thing that I most admire from somebody who lives comfortably in Europe is the fact that these people are not prepared to accept their lot, and that they are prepared, like all of the members of all of our local climate forums, to stand up and fight for their local communities, not for profit, not for money, but because they truly believe in the future of their people. Let us come to the last country where we are at the present working in Africa. That is the country of Uganda. And I believe that we have Aisha on with us still. Now then, Aisha had to leave early and we have gone over time, so I'm not sure if Aisha is still with us. Aisha, you would have probably heard me saying, was actually there when we were playing the video, and she had her camera on. Hello, Aisha. And apparently people could hear me going, oh, we've got to get Aisha to turn her camera off. But we will be playing that video again at the end in case people didn't hear the video correctly. Anyway, Aisha, it's great to have you here. I don't know if Isaac is with you. I don't believe Isaac is with us. But anyway, Aisha, if you can explain a little bit what RWICA have been doing in Uganda, and a little bit the situation in Uganda. Over to you. Aisha, now you need to turn on your microphone. It should be at the bottom of your screen. I'm looking at my technical person here. It should be at the bottom of your screen or in the middle. The button for the microphone. Okay, we still can't hear you. So your microphone is on. Your microphone is on, but we can't hear you. Yeah, can you take the earphones out? I think that's probably the problem. If you disconnect the earphones from the computer.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now we can hear
me
you.
now?
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect. We've seen you twice during the course of today.
Sorry about
But now we
that.
can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry about
Over
that.
to you.
Yeah, I'll try to share our story and experience in the allocated time. Also, my colleague Isaac, who is on the ground team in Uganda, is on the call, and he will be also unmuted after, and then he will share more about what we are doing currently in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Aisha Nankanja. I am a sociologist and a researcher. I'm currently working with Earthwatch Europe, based in the heart of Oxford in the UK. Prior to that, I worked with Rural Water Initiative for Climate Action, RICA, a local community-based organization in mid-central rural Uganda. And we are grateful to be recognized as a local water forum of the WWQA, and now we are a local climate forum of the Cassandra movement. Here today, I'm here to discuss a critical aspect of climate change and its gender impacts. We often look at the fact that climate change is disproportionately affects women, and there is a challenge of gender disaggregated data. Data collection often focuses on men, activities are considered to be for men, and we mistakenly assume that communities are homogeneous. This leads to policies that are created to be a one-size-fits-all, failing to address the unique vulnerabilities of women and other special interest groups like children, persons with disabilities, and elderly persons. Let me illustrate with a tragic example. In Bududa district in the Bushika sub-county in eastern Uganda, this indigenous community residing on the slopes of Mountain Elgon has been ravaged by recurrent flash floods since 2010. Displaced thousands of families in these indigenous communities. And in 2022, our local RICA team went to plant trees to restore the landscapes of the slopes of Mountain Elgon in collaboration with Uganda Wildlife Authority and other youth groups. We were awakened to a story that was heartbreaking. During a recent flood, men fled to a higher ground in the mountains, while women were burdened by traditional gender roles, remained behind to carry their children. Tragically, many women and children were buried in the mudslides, highlighting the devastating consequences of ignoring dynamics in disaster, ignoring gender dynamics in disaster preparedness. What is the global interconnection? This is not an isolated incident. Globally, women face increased burdens due to climate change. They often have limited access to resources, decision-making power, and information, making them more vulnerable to climate-related shocks. At Earthwatch, we believe citizen science can be a powerful tool to address this. Through our projects like ProBlue, an education project that promotes water literacy in schools. In retrospect, our Freshwater Watch program empowers local communities to become citizen scientists, monitoring water quality and gathering crucial data on environmental changes. This data can inform evidence-based policies that can consider the unique needs and vulnerabilities of communities. We've seen the successes of Freshwater Watch in places like Sierra Leone and Zambia. Now we aim to expand this work to East Africa, including regions like Bududa, to ensure that women's voices are heard and their needs are addressed in climate action. So basically, that's what I could talk about. And as I conclude, I'll borrow a rhetoric question from one of our panelists, Dr. Anthony Bonura from the 2021 Cassandra Conference. Do we care about what's happening in terms of gender inequality and climate extreme weather changes? That's a question posed to the audience.
Well, the answer to that question is very much yes. In fact, gender equality is something that is becoming one of the pivotal points of the Cassandra program. And indeed, not only that, but at this very moment, we're writing a report with regards to sextortion, which is the disgusting habit and a disgusting activity around provision, for example, of clean drinking water, but also access to food, where women in many different countries are having to have sex in order to have access to clean water or to food. And this is something that is well documented, and we are now collating a document, and we are working together with a number of organizations, including the Dicastery of Human Development of the Vatican, to actually go further into this subject and take it as well in front of the United Nations. So yeah, gender equality is very, very, very high up on our agenda, as is the effects of conflict, as are the health effects, and as are the migratory effects of climate change. So thank you very much for that, Aisha. Isaac, do you have anything else to add with regards to the activities in Uganda? I
Yes.
know that Isaac,
Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. Do you have a camera?
Okay. I will request that I speak off the camera because of
Sure, no problems.
bandwidth. Yeah. So thank you everyone, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak on this great platform, and with Rika, we are doing quite a lot in as far as addressing climate-related issues concerned. Activities ranging from making people access water, clean drinking water, to making people be able to run micro-scale businesses in the wash sector, as well as ensuring that we rally everyone to act for climate through landscape restoration drives to restore different degraded ecosystems. And I would like to mention that to date we have restored close to 6,000 hectares of degraded forests here in Uganda, including the landslide prone highlands of Mount Elgon, to replenishing the degraded ecosystems within central Uganda, and many more others. And also to mention that we have empowered close to 50 women with small scale support to run businesses in WASH in an initiative we called Business in a Basin. And we can now proudly say that these women are able to put some money into their pockets, but also addressing issues that arise around sanitation. And to date, we are yet to pilot a project to support a local health center where women who are delivering black water, and there we are going to be supporting it with rainwater harvesting facilities, as well as working with the same hospital to design a plan on which effective water supply can be ensured. And that spans right into other institutions like schools, where we are working with around 4 primary schools to ensure that they are able to access water and save children time to study instead of going to look for water in the distant places. So those are the few things that we can really mention right now. And diving into this year, we hope to do more, and we call upon any partners who can be around and are interested in WASH programs and promoting nature-based solutions works to join hands with us as we gear towards having a quite active local climate forum here in Uganda, and looking forward to amplifying impact both locally and internationally. Thank you so much, and back to you, Mr. Richard.
Thank you very much indeed. Can I ask now all of the speakers to put your cameras on? Not your microphones, but if you can all put your cameras on, because we're going into a section of questions and answers. So anybody who's listening, if you want to ask a specific question to one or more of our speakers, please do so. Also, I'd like to apologize to Chris from Coombe Green Solutions because I didn't give him as much time to talk as certain other people, and I apologize for that. I'm a really bad time controller, but I promise you that Chris, who's actually one of our most important local climate leaders at Coombe Green Solutions, is absolutely exemplary. So we will be giving him plenty of opportunities to talk in the future events of Cassandra, in the conference in 2026, but also in other many conferences where Cassandra members are invited to speak. So can I ask everyone to put, those of you who are here still, can I ask everyone to put your cameras on, those who are the speakers, if you can put your cameras on all together. Very good, excellent, keep going. Very good. Okay, so there was a question that came through from Crispin. Crispin, and I apologize if I pronounce the surname wrong. Crispin Ngakani. He's a climate activist, and he's asking if and how he can get involved in Cassandra. The answer is that one of our team here, Andrea, who's part of our core team, she's actually answered you with my email, so that if you want to write me an email, Crispin, then we would be delighted to hear you. You're from the DRC, as is Denise, and we would be delighted to have more people working with us from the Congo. So please contact me and we will be able to talk straight away. So there's that message first of all. Okay, we do have a question. We have a question from Lesha Vitma, and she says, hello speakers, good stuff. How or where do you find your resources for your activities? I want to learn from you. Now then, this is actually a very, very important question, because as somebody who's worked for in collaboration with the European Commission and also the United Nations, one of the most difficult things is to get small amounts of money to local community actions. Is extremely difficult. So Lesha continues to say that she wants to learn from all of you, because she is working as well with Women for Water and others. She says that the connection between climate change, water and sanitation impacts and women's roles is extremely important, which I think all of us who are involved in Cassandra, we understand and believe in. And also that she says that addressing sextortion is extremely important. It has numerous aspects, and that Women for Water will be very active and happy to inform and help any of your local committees. I'd just like to say that Women for Water actually is also a support member of Cassandra organization, that from the very start they have been involved with us. So the question from Lesha first of all was, all right, how about resources? Now then, one of the ambitions of Cassandra during the year 2025 is to provide our local climate forums with certain limited amounts of resources, apart from free advice from our science embassies, which is the second part of the work of Cassandra, as you saw in the video, and we will be showing that video again, but this time I promise without Aisha on the top, because I can see Aisha's listening to me there. But we'll be showing that video again, and I think it explains clearly that there are three aspects to the Cassandra work: the local climate forums, the science embassies, which are scientific and technological institutions prepared to give free advice to their local communities, and then the program of training scientists to work with artists and cultural actors so that everybody can understand their work, because sometimes it's very difficult for the non-scientists, such as myself, to understand really what the scientist is capable of doing or not doing. So my question to you, and just raise your hand, you can actually react on the screen, but raise your hand if you want to answer the question. I'll start off with Rip Toya. Rip Toya, what for you are the challenges when it comes to finding resources? And I suppose basically here we know we're talking about money. Yeah. What's the basic challenges of finding money to be able to do what you are doing at the moment in northern Kenya?
Hello everyone once again. So when it comes to finding resources in northern Kenya, it's quite a challenging issue. I can first give you a short example. For example, the other day we were to go to Merti. It's a very far place from the town, and from Nairobi it's like almost a 6-hour journey. When you get to Merti, when you get to Isiolo, you need a car to go to Merti. Merti is a rough road, and we also found some people who have been stuck there for almost 6 days. So you can imagine the challenge. That means you need a lot of funds for you to get a good car to get to Merti. These people have been waiting for us for over an year, and it took us almost a year to get that project done. So the first issue when it comes to funding, number one is the fact that okay, I'm young. That is also a factor. I'm not probably like there's that issue when you have to go and pitch to people. It's very hard for people to trust you easily, but at least we've been able to manage through partnerships with the local governments. We've been able to manage to get the projects going. So there's that issue. The second issue is the fact that the logistical expenses are very huge. That means like a lot of donors look at that expense and they're like, this is too huge. What can we do? So we've been trying to also look for other options, because for example, if we can't get Merti, we use the online platforms. So there's that challenge as well. But through using platforms such as this, we are trying to like get our stories heard, get to like cover the stories of people, and also do our best to seek out for more partners who can work with us. And also like this, the Cassandra conference, we actually thank Richard for always highlighting the stories that we have. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Richard.
Yes, I think you have. I mean, Riptoya, you also always answer the questions well, always very, very well. Let me ask somebody else. I mean, that's the case of northern Kenya. Let me go to a different country and ask Abu Talib, for example, if I can ask you, if you think that there are going to be problems trying to find financial resources, apart from the fact that we at Cassandra are designed partly to help you to overcome those problems, but immediately, what are your first financial needs in what you're trying to do, for example, in Dongola in the Sudan? Abu Talib? I think his screen is frozen. Or Allah, for example. Allah, you're also in the Sudan. What do you think are going to be your chief financial necessities?
I think organizing the workshops for the farmers and local community. This is the first priority for us.
Okay, and again, I mean, as you know, Cassandra, we will be advising you through all of those steps, because as I'd like to point out to the audience that the Sudanese Local Climate Forum has only begun very, very recently. And as you can imagine, considering the situation in the Sudan under very difficult circumstances, but for us, they are an exceptionally brave, but also exceptionally important local climate forum for us. Aisha, you have your hand up. I hope you've got answers, Aisha. Aisha, you've got two choices. You can turn
Yes.
on your microphone, or you can do sign language. So
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. And that's a very good question. And I'm very happy that we are looking at a diversity geographies. We are very happy to have our colleagues from Sudan, and given the context that it really they are in, I mean, it really touches what is meaning conflict and climate change. And so it is really a great conversation and advocacy. So getting back that question, Lesha has always asked this wonderful question. I think my colleague Isaac also will amplify on this from the local grassroots level. And I mean, I can speak for other organizations here, other local climate forums, even ourselves. I'm wearing two hats. I'm working as a researcher with Earthwatch, but also on the ground with local climate forums. I know what's really is happening. They are organized groups of individuals who have come together to organize their communities, and we have registered accounts. People can receive resources to implement their work and create impact in their communities. So it shouldn't be a very big problem for multinational, companies, supranational bodies that want to support local work on the grassroots. It shouldn't be fearful of anything, because the people are very organized and passionate about the problems that they are working on. People can receive, organizations, the local climate firms can receive they are able to receive resources, manage resources, and manage things on a systemic level and really create impact. So really, I believe it's something that is really good, and I really can applaud, for example, Earthwatch that is reaching out to, like also Cassandra, WWQA, reaching out to touch really lives on the grassroots and social activists in the space of climate change. So that is something that I can really answer back to Lesha, that we are very organized, and local social activists and forums are organized with structures and systems to help them receive resources and help them create impact in their communities.
I'm going to pass the word now to Susan and then to Jackie, because I saw that your hands were raised as well. But I just want to say one of the principal aims of Cassandra is to bring the attention to the supranational and the international community, both the public and the private sector, the essential work that all of these organizations, who we call collectively local climate forums, they're not our property. Each and every one of the people you've heard today, they are the creators of their own community initiatives. And that's how it should be. That's the only way that we can have trust and political continuity, is by local people leading local initiatives. And all of the people who you've heard today are examples of that. But one of the things that we obviously want to do is to attract finance and to attract money in order to support their aims, and also to act as catalysts, not only in other countries in Africa and in their own countries, in other communities, but also, as I said before, beyond Africa, as we extend into India, Southeast Asia, Central and South America. Susan, you had your hand up, and I apologize because I talked too much. Well, this is one of the problems of live television, is that the technical thing doesn't work so well. Susan, we can see that your microphone is on, but we can't hear you. We still can't hear you at the moment. So while you're trying to sort that out, and I promise you that if you get your sound back, I'll come back to you. If I pass over to Jackie, because Jackie, you had your hand raised.
Right. Richard, look, there's little money and there's big money. Little money is exactly, like getting people to go to remote areas, to have meetings, to be able to pay for the petrol, to be able to, when you get there, have a give some workshop, give some food, just things that matter to people in remote areas when you arrive empty-handed. So I think that little money is actually essential. If you want these local climate forums to work, there must be that kind of support, because otherwise what's happening is people are depleting funds from one project to another to sort of cross-subsidize, and it's really difficult. Big funds are then, for infrastructure, for, drilling a borehole. That's a different, those are different kind of, a different category we're looking at of funding, and that's where you need your big multinationals. But I think it's really essential. Also, something that I think would be really great from Eurocat is branding. Like when people see branding, when they see you coming with a T-shirt or with a logo or with a banner, it helps raise funds, because you say, I belong to this, I belong to LCF, and then people want to give money. So I think the branding is really important, and that's something that has to come from you. I also would strongly urge, I don't know how others would feel here, and perhaps this isn't the forum to discuss it, but I would strongly urge you not to go to 300 local forums until you're able to support these current forums here. I think, not counting myself, but the work that's being done here is quite incredible, and I think it needs support. And I think until these can be up and running and have core, whatever the minimum funds, the basket shouldn't be filled too much, because it'll just dilute, and people will get tired. They'll go then from LCF to the next nice international project that comes, and LCF will die, although it's just Cassandra's brilliant. So I hope that's my penny's worth. Just one other thing, again, for the branding. Local sponsors often are happy when they see these, the branding, like the local spaza will give bread and milk or cool drinks. The local petrol station might give money for petrol to get to one place. So these things, but you laughed when I said a car. I mean, that was the first thing that our group said. If we want to get somewhere, we need a vehicle. So, those are just things to think about. I hope that's been helpful and not unhelpful.
No, that's been extremely helpful. And it's also, it's actually the reason why this year we decided, first of all, to start pilot sites. We could have quite easily have gone straight into about 150 different places, but we didn't want to do that precisely for the reason that you're saying. Also, we wanted to be able to attract the attention of not only the supranational administrations responsible for achieving the SDGs and the OECD and the European Commission, etc., but we wanted to attract the attention of all stakeholders to how local communities can be effective. If we had done that with too many examples at the beginning, it would have been ineffective, which is why we decided to limit this number to a very specific number during the first period of the implementation of the Cassandra Programme. We will, towards the end of the year, as I said, and I mean at the end of this year of 2025, begin to expand within Africa, and then in 2026 beyond. But you're right. First of all, we need to have this model established. And one of the most important things, I think, is that, and my advice to anyone who's looking for money for any sort of social action, is that you can't go there just with an idea. You've got to go there showing that you're already working. You've got to show there that the willingness and the determination and the idea is there, and it's actually already being worked on. And if that happens, then they are normally far more prepared to listen to you seriously. Let me go to Susan, who's back again. Susan, let's try that voice again.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Perfect.
Thank you. I wanted to add on what Triptaya said on how we raise funds for our projects. One other thing is we raise funds through our friends and family, where we have an online platform called Mchanga, where all our partners, friends, family can just put in some money, and then we can track how much money has been put in and how we can divide the money for our use during the project. Another thing is our partners who contribute either financially or in kind, and through that we'll also love to encourage more people whom we can partner with in Move Northern Kenya, and we'll be grateful. Another thing is maybe we can be invited to international conferences, and we can get to more people can get to know what Move Northern Kenya is and what we have done, and if they can wish to join us, we'll appreciate.
The power of dissemination is vital. You're a very good example of that, Susan. You're a very good disseminator, but it is absolutely essential. Yes, you're absolutely 100% right in what you've said. And again, that is one of the other reasons behind Cassandra, and the reason why we began EuroCat, we began the Cassandra Programme and Conference, was to disseminate this, because if you create awareness, then people can be prepared to invest in something of which they're aware. If they're not aware of it, they're not going to invest in it. Let me go, Ezerim's had his hand up for a while. Let me just go to Brandon first of all, and then I'll pass to Ezerim, and that will be the end of the conference. And right at the end of the conference, what we want to do is to play the video again, so that those of you in the audience, you can understand very clearly, without Aisha there on top, you can understand. No, it's my fault, because apparently people could hear me going, oh, look, Aisha's on top. So we will play that video again, and you can see very clearly what are the three purposes of Cassandra. But let me pass the word, first of all, to Brandon. Brandon Okoth. Brandon, over to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Just to add on what we're discussing in terms of funding for the projects that we're doing, we find it's quite difficult, by the way, to fund, especially the local groups, because there's a lot of discrimination, I would say, whereby if you knock on the guys who are supposed to fund you, they look at you down. They say maybe you're a small organization, maybe even the group, especially groups it's being led by youth from especially these slum areas. There's a lot of discrimination behind it, and to be honest, it becomes very difficult to even find the funding to keep you running. So what happens is you have to come back to our community. For us, we have to come back to our community. Yeah, you find most of the time you have to run on just voluntary assistance, where you have to convince people, to talk with people, to bring them to have the mindset of participating in the project, because there's no funding for it when you knock into this door, and you can't depend on our government offices. There's always, if you read newspaper even this morning, you'll find there's a lot of corruption within the government institutes that they're supposed to fund you. If you go to embassies, if you go to even the UN agency, there's a lot of bureaucracy behind it for you not to get even the funding, and that's the honest truth. So for us, like what has happened to us, it has forced us to go back into our own, talking to people, friends and family. Like for us, what we do is we primarily just depend on monthly donors, whereby we'll come and talk to you, Richard, and tell you, okay, Richard, could you support us with maybe 30 USD per month? And with that, we can use it to educate the children. We can also use it to also do other things, to empower, to start projects that can help the group to get income. So in everything that we do, with every funding that we get, we try to put it in something that can be sustainable, in a way that in few times or in few years, it can run itself. Because we cannot depend on going back into knocking doors. We will never get, and that's the honest truth.
It's a very, very important point, Brandon. It's a very important point as well that you've made about national governments. I mean, we have to face the realities. Cassandra is something that wants to face the realities, and we have to face the reality that in the world there is a lot of corruption, etc. If we don't talk about these subjects, they will never be overcome. So I'm very pleased you brought up that point. I'm going to give a final moment to Ezerim before I take a 1 minute to round up myself and then show the video again. Ezerim, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard, for giving me the floor. I appreciate all who have spoken, on this matter, on how to raise funds. Yes, I'll have to say this because we tried it and it worked for us in the Yagazia Foundation as well as the African Coaches League. You see, there are so many companies that are in the country. Let me say, from the lens of a Nigerian, there are so many multinational countries and companies, like my brother Brandon said, embassies, consulates, high commissions. They have what we call the corporate social responsibility programs, right? Now, requesting for CSR partnerships will help because companies have their annual corporate social responsibility program where they offer opportunities for their company to sponsor specific projects or events aligning with their brand, so with the humanitarian goal. So what I'll advise is, we tried it and it worked, right? Reaching out to companies, like this is January and this is the best time to reach out to companies, right? Asking them that, oh, please, can we partner or can we get your support to do a particular project? Because most of all these companies have a specific project that they want to sponsor, or few set of projects that are similar during the year. So you can reach out to so many companies and say, oh, can we do something like this? Because this is how it works, right? Companies are increasingly looking for ways to improve their social footprints and engage in impactful projects which resonate with their value as a company, right? So when you click into this, plug into this, it will help with the key action, which is to identify companies, like I said, that has that similar CSR interest. It could be the areas of WASH, which we do, wash, water, sanitation, and hygiene. It could be the area of youth empowerment. It could be the area of sports development, just name it, right? And with the proper proposal, with a proper, well-explained proposal, they may consider, like Dr. Richard said, what you've done will help, like your previous project, like it will always help to brighten your chances of getting considered for a CSR partnership. We tried it and it worked, because all you've said here is actually the truth, because most NGOs find it difficult, especially those in Africa, find it difficult to get funding, to get access to funding. But with the CSR idea, I think it will help us in this 2025 and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ezrim. Can I ask everybody now to close their cameras, especially Aisha, because we're now going to be putting on the video for the for the end of the session. I'd just like to, if you can close your cameras, Denise as well, Denise and Susan. Fantastic. And I will be closing my camera as well. Just like to, first of all, thank everybody who has been listening to us. Thank you to everybody who is following us on LinkedIn. And if you're not following us on LinkedIn, please find it. LinkedIn, the name of the LinkedIn is Cassandra Conference. There will be a second webinar on this subject on June the 12th of this year. And then there will be a third webinar to be held in December of this year. Then on the 3rd, 4th and 5th of February 2026, we will be having the Cassandra Conference, which will be face-to-face and streamed online. So you can choose whether to come to Barcelona or you can be here. If you come to Barcelona, you will be meeting all of the people who have you heard spoken today, as well as many other political figures from the United Nations, from a series of organizations, international organizations and governments, but also from a series of very important NGOs, such as, for example, Open Arms and Médecins Sans Frontières. The most important thing, and somebody during the conversation asked the question, so how is Cassandra addressing at a local level climate change? The whole point, what we're trying to do is that there are a lot of programs that look at how to avoid climate change, look at how to mitigate the environmental effects of climate change. Cassandra is trying to demonstrate that science and technology, together with the people and the volunteers of local communities, such as those wonderful people who you've heard today, that together we can also look at the social and political effects of climate change, which are just as important as the environmental effects. We are working at the moment, and I want to thank once again the representatives of our local climate forums from Palestine. Our hearts go out to you at this very, very difficult time, but we will be there supporting you. To the Congo, to Kenya, to Nigeria, to Somalia, to South Africa, to the people of Sudan who work with us, who are also going through an incredibly difficult time at this moment, as indeed are all of the countries that we're mentioning here, and then finally as well to those of Uganda. We will be extending at the end of this year our work to other countries in Africa and beyond. If you've heard what you've heard and you want to become involved, please contact us. This is not a closed organization. It's not an organization. It's a program where any entity or organization can come on board and feed into it and feed from the experience of Cassandra. I leave you now with the video. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again in future Cassandra events.
Climate change is not just another crisis. The consequences of climate change can be seen in many different forms. The Cassandra Conference and Programme is a call to action inviting collaboration to empower local solutions, addressing 4 key socio-political aspects of what has, until now, been considered almost exclusively an environmental issue. Public health. Extreme weather events resulting from climate change heighten heat illnesses, destroy homes and livelihoods through flooding, spread infectious diseases, and worsen malnutrition due to crop failures. Migration. Environmental shifts due to climate change force people to migrate, often from economically fragile regions, seeking better living conditions. Gender equality. Climate change exacerbates existing gender disparities, particularly affecting women and girls in low-income and developing regions. Conflict. Climate change acts as a threat multiplier, exacerbating existing socio-economic inequalities and tensions, whilst also exponentially leading to conflict over natural resources. The Cassandra Conference and Programme stands apart by focusing on the interconnected socio-political impacts of climate change rather than solely its environmental effects, focusing on local community engagement as the key to transforming global ambitions into practical, relevant, and tangible solutions. It champions locally born activists as being essential to build trust and foster the social consensus needed for policy continuity, while positioning scientists and technologists as socio-political allies who provide expertise when invited. Additionally, it highlights the power of culture to evoke emotional connections that engage and mobilize society as a whole. As a result of conferences held in 2021 and 2023, Cassandra has established an action plan until the end of 2027. Local climate action starts with the empowerment of communities. By adopting local initiatives and collaborating with social activists, specific climate challenges are addressed through a grassroots approach, making solutions more inclusive and impactful. Through a network of science embassies who transform complex scientific data into accessible, practical solutions, fostering continuous collaboration between scientists, policymakers, and citizens. This ensures that research remains relevant and meaningful for the communities it serves. And then there's science cultural communication training. By harnessing the power of art and culture, intricate scientific concepts can be translated into messages that resonate on a personal and emotional level. This approach makes climate science accessible and inspires broader understanding and action. The progress of the program will be demonstrated at the 3rd Cassandra Conference in 2026, where the results and future steps will be discussed and broadly disseminated. Cassandra advocates a unified socio-political response to climate change that blends scientific knowledge, cultural expression, and grassroots activism. It stresses the importance of inclusive, community-led actions that can serve as a catalyst for broader global initiatives. The aim is not just to predict and prevent crises, but to involve communities in creating sustainable solutions that address the root causes of climate issues.